The Western noblemen as the chair, the notable Chinese as the palanquin, and the Japanese had a two-wheeled chair that they call jinrikisha, which means man-propelled vehicle quite simply. And one day, in the year 1869, the common people discovered that they could not only shoot the rickshaw, but also climb in to go shopping. The rickshaw was born, the success of which did not last despite some avatars. First, in Japan, manufacturing is exploding with more than 150,000 in the late 1870s and start exporting to the four cardinal points of Asia. They arrived in Singapore in 1880, but the trip between Japan and Malaysia multiplied the seats. The push to a Japanese place has become a push to two places, always pulled by a human, the coolie. Handy, fast and snuggling around, then competing with the gharry, a two-wheel carriage pulled by a horse. These advantages and the fact that it is much less expensive will lead to the gradual disappearance of gharry, which will remain only as curiosity or fantasy of rich colonial. They were so numerous that in 1892 they entered the administrative life with the creation of a dedicated department and the introduction of legislation, the jinrickshaw ordinance. The British government banned the use of rickshaw in 1920, mainly for safety reasons, with the increase in motorized traffic. There were only 3,600 in 1940. But from the end of the Second World War and the departure of the British, the rickshaw was reborn in the form of Trishaws, as they are called here in Melaka, a two-seater cart attached to a bicycle where clever and resourceful driver valiantly pedals. Drivers don't always own their Trishaws. They can lease it to private companies. Japanese rickshaws are of better quality than those produced locally, but their cost is very high, up to a year's salary. But they usually work on their own and group into companies according to the same principle as taxi companies. They make them a serious competition, the tourist not too hasty, preferring this exotic and cheap way to visit the city. By the end of the 19th century, the activity of rickshaws was in the hands of immigrants from southeastern China. They were, for the most part, illiterate peasants, knew the equipment, and the rickshaw was an easy way to earn a living, as it did not require special skill, but only coordination, physical strength, and endurance. But there were also real risks of physical injury, fatigue, and accidents. And since they often had to pay the rent for their vehicle, it was not uncommon for them to work a second job, such as construction coolies, to supplement their income. Since the Japanese era, rickshaws of old have been motorized and increasingly look like utility vehicles. And the Trishaws have become real tourist attractions. The rickshaws dressed in red silk of old became a comfortable cocoon, decorated with popular figures like Pikachu, Hello Kitty, or cartoon characters. The fabrics are shock resistant, moisture resistant, and resistant to Malaysia's tropical climate. A canopy can be lifted in case of rain. The rear lights are mandatory, and the music box hanging on the back rolls out high-volume trendy songs or retro songs. But most importantly, they are all illuminated with thousands of multicolored LED bulbs that sparkle in the night. They compete with beauty, brilliance, and kitsch, while emitting a slight throbbing stridulation like mechanical cicadas.
on the bus go.